Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Patrick Snipes. I'm here in Hobbs, New Mexico, January 23rd. Really nice day. Starting off on hole 1, about 445 foot. I threw a crank and Z plastic to get up here. I'm going to throw a zone with a forehand, try to approach the basket. Just a little deep. Shot left me a little bit past the basket. I'll be putting this with an X plastic roach. This is hole 2 at 300 foot, slightly uphill. I'm going to be throwing the Zeus first run. You see that's just about the line. And that shot left me just a little bit short, about 15 foot short of it. I'm going to be using the same X plastic roach. A little high, but in the cage. Oh, how nice it is. Starting to strip some of the layers. I'll be throwing that same Z crank that I threw on hole number 1. Hole's about 420 foot. It's going to be a little short, good line. Yeah. Shorter than I wanted it to be off the box. I got about 40 foot left. And try to keep this thing flat and at the basket. I'm throwing the combination rubber plastic Luna. Don't know what they call that. Oh, you should have called it in. Hole number 4, about 235 foot. I'm going to be throwing a big Z Predator. Just a little short. Just like on the first couple of holes, I've been leaving everything a little short. The wind has moved, and it's blowing just a little bit right across my face, right to left. Hole number 5, in the short position at 210. I'm going to be throwing a first run Raptor. Oh yeah, and it's whirling right up to the basket. Nice. Yeah, a little bit about myself. I found disc golf back in 1993 out at a park outside of Dallas in Irving, Texas, a park called Fritz Park. Stumbled across a couple of guys that were just out playing for fun, never seen it before, and have been in the game ever since. Hole number 6, about 420 foot. I'll be throwing a Z Nuke. And while I was out in Dallas, I found myself closer to Victoria Park. So when I really first started throwing, a lot of my experience was out in the Victoria Park when they were still a 9-hole park. While I was there, they were and did change it into an 18-hole course. I haven't really got to play a whole lot on it since it had been changed. I'd moved out of Dallas in '95 and moved back to this area of Lee County. Yeah, and then here in Lee County, I'd found a job at a local music store that was just starting up. And I'd been practicing guitar and studying theory for a couple of years before that. I started back in 1989, 91. I stayed in this area for about 2.5, nearly 3 years with the music store. Hole number 7, a little over 300 foot. I'll be throwing a prototype Onyx. And even though I was working at the music store, there wasn't a park or a week I didn't go by with some type of throwing a Frisbee. And in '98, I moved out to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and became a regular at the Roseville Park there. And there wasn't a time out in Albuquerque that I've had any extra moments. I'd be out at the disc golf course, out of job, out of other types of entertainment. And then it turned into where it was just disc golf. Hole number 8, around 260 foot. I'm throwing the Z Hornet. Yeah, now I'm scooting up right under the basket. Yeah, and by the mid-season of '98, I'd found my first little taste of sponsorship. There was a pipe shop in town that was selling a bunch of Innova discs, and I was sending a bunch of people their way off of the course, and from that, the owner decided to help me out with Frisbees. Hole 9, 465 foot. You can probably see the sign there. And after I picked up a little bit of that disc sponsorship from a gentleman named Bud Stones, that's the pipe shop, I decided to sell some investment and make a schedule to head out in '98 and try to play some touring dates. Oh, that's a Discraft Spectra. I picked it up recently, given it some throws, a little under 400. And started the dates off in Sipapu, New Mexico. I believe that year it was the state singles. From there, me and a gentleman named Stephen Hall drove all the way up to the tip top of Maine, back down the East Coast and across 40, playing and traveling as much as possible. That was the Z Zone. I had gotten back to New Mexico just in time for the Colorado State Championships, where that weekend I drove out and I didn't get a place before I got there. And when I showed up, there were no spaces available. And luckily that year, Scott Stokely actually stepped out and let me step into his box position, which was one of the neatest things that ever happened to me in the disc golf sport. After the Colorado State Championships, I made it down to Hays, Kansas, and was considering to make it out to Houston that year for Worlds. I made it to Hays, played with some really great players, and on my way to Houston, I got distracted here in Lee County. Wasn't able to make it to Houston that year, so I decided to move out to Dallas, to where at that time it was the quickest growing disc golf community that I could find, and stayed out there all of the year '99. And although a huge community and a bunch of parks, just great holes everywhere you look, I was trading my disc golf future for work and didn't get to play as much as I wanted. I then moved out of Dallas and found my way back to Albuquerque in the early millennium and started to play with the idea of making better choices when I had opportunities and hadn't been able to make those opportunities pay off yet.